It's all.
Hello.
Hi. Hello. Hello.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Good
Hi.
afternoon or good evening. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Good evening. Nice to see you too.
Oops.
How are you? Everybody okay?
Great.
Good.
Great. Brilliant. Glad to hear it.
We're coming in.
Very good.
Good, good. Right. Lots more people arriving, which is nice.
Hello.
Hello.
Good
Good afternoon.
Beth.
Good evening.
Hi. Yeah, good evening
Hi.
or good afternoon. I guess it's the evening, isn't it, Indonesia?
All right.
evening.
Welcome, everybody.
Good evening.
Good
Miss
evening. Hello. Right, while we're waiting for more people to arrive, you can
Good
see that there's
evening.
a task on the screen for you to complete. So think about Unit 2. Don't worry if you haven't finished all of it yet, but think about what you've covered so far. What can you remember? So what have you learnt about giving instructions in the classroom, teaching and jobs, and the present perfect versus the past simple? Have a think about it and put one idea in the chat box, something that you can remember from this unit. Buddy, no problem. If you weren't able to attend earlier, it's fine to join a different class.
Yeah. We're recording, aren't we, Beth? I can see. I think
We are,
yeah.
yes. So be careful what you say. You're being recorded. You're joking. Okay, so keep having a think, and when you're ready, share one idea in the chat box while we're waiting. Okay, thank you, Amin. So you've learnt the difference between the present perfect and the past simple. Excellent.
Yes.
Good. Okay.
Good.
What about everybody else? What have you learnt? Don't tell me you haven't learnt anything. That would make me sad.
Okay, we've got 20 people here. Great.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, we gave you the answers, buddy, hey? All right. I'm going to give it a few minutes to see whether anybody wants to add anything. Zainatul, I don't know the pronunciation. Talks about giving clear instructions. Good.
Yeah, that's a good comment.
Absolutely. Yeah, Ernie, correct instructions are really important. Clear, concise instructions so the students understand exactly what we want them to do. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Shall we make a start, Nick?
Yeah, I'll get started. So thanks, everybody. As you probably heard Beth and I talking, we're recording the session. So if we go too quickly at any point, or if you miss anything, you'll be able to revisit the session. I think it should be available later today or early tomorrow morning. So don't worry if you've missed something. Okay, so this is what we're doing today. And the first thing is to review errors from the Google and WhatsApp tasks. So we asked you in Unit 2 to start to think about writing the differences between the education system in the United Kingdom and in Indonesia. Some of you have done that, and we've got some of these examples for you to look at and for you to correct the errors, something that we do as teachers with our learners' work. Then we're going to practice correcting some of our own errors. So we, as I say, some of the mistakes that you've written, we'll look at some of these, and some are easier than others. So you have to put your thinking hats on for this task. Then we're going to think about our own errors, what kind of common errors we make and how we can perhaps address these. And then finally, to reflect on this week's content and what we've learnt. Okay, so Beth.
All right, thank you. So as Nick said, we're going to start by giving you some feedback on your written work from this week. So last week we gave you written feedback on the Google Docs about your contributions. This week we would like to do it a little bit differently by dealing with the feedback today in the live session. So have a look at the screen. These are 3 example sentences from people's writing that they produced for Unit 2 on the Google Doc. There were loads and loads of really excellent examples of written work, by the way, but we're just going to focus on some common mistakes today. So look at sentence number 1. Can you identify a muted me. Can you identify a grammatical mistake in sentence number 1? So think about it for a moment and then put your idea in the chat box, please. How can I make this sentence better, grammatically correct? The people who have their cameras on, you look as if you're thinking very hard about this. Does anyone have an idea at the moment? Just for number 1. No?
I think someone's put something in.
Oh, okay. All right, so we have a suggestion here, few suggestions now. Okay, so some people are thinking about the tense of number 1. Do we need the past simple? They entered. I don't think this is necessary because we're talking about a fact here, something that's always true. Yeah. All right. Nick, can we show the answer? Okay, so this one, we had an extra word. So to is not necessary here. Exactly. So they enter junior high school. Or Sri mentioned, yeah, children enter junior high school. So to is not necessary in this sentence. Okay, let's try number 2. What do we think is the problem with sentence number 2? Again, have a think and then put any ideas into the chat box. Sri, very fast there.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, anybody else have any ideas? Sophia? Okay, Pooji. Yeah, good. So most people are getting this one. So here the problem is with the preposition. So yeah, not on university, but we have to say at university. Yeah, I study at university, or continue their study at university. Good. And number 3, what's wrong with number 3? How can I improve this one? Okay, good. So some suggestions here. Yeah, Nick, can we see the answer?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, good. So yeah, we have to think about plural versus singular. So some people suggested there is a higher level, yeah, which would be okay, but there are higher levels. Yeah, so we've got the plural forms here.
Yeah, brilliant.
All
Great.
right, thank you.
Great. All these mistakes were, I'd say, slips. They were quite minor ones, but in a minute, we're going to look at some more complicated mistakes. So please don't write anything in the chat box. So here we've got 4 more sentences, and they've all got at least one mistake. Some of them have several mistakes. Now, don't write anything in the chat box, because what we're going to do in about a minute is we're going to put you into groups, and we want you to discuss these sentences together and think about what the mistakes are. What are the language mistakes in each sentence? The same as we've just done with Beth. So if you'd like to take a picture of that screen so you have the mistakes, I'll also share them in the chat box as well. This should be available to everyone. So I think that's... So you have it in the chat box as well, if you're unable to take a picture. So in each sentence, correct the mistake in your group. You'll have about 10 to 15 minutes to work through them all. And as well as that, we want you to think of a question you have about Unit 2. So the question could be about education. It could be about the language content of Unit 2. It could be about any aspect of Unit 2. So we want you first to correct the mistakes in the 4 sentences, and then think about a question that you have from Unit 2. And then after the group task, we'll ask you to share these questions with us. But please, only one question, because we don't have time probably to answer all the questions that you may have. Okay, is everyone okay? Ready to go?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks. I heard somebody say yeah.
Okay, great. So
Okay.
I'll put you into groups now. We'll have 6 groups, so there'll be 4 or 5 people in each room, and you'll have 15 minutes to discuss the mistakes together and to decide on one question. See you soon.
Yeah, I got automatically assigned to a room. Strange that, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought so. I don't know why it happens sometimes and not others.
I apologise for muting you. I tried to mute somebody else and I think they moved or something.
No problem. Okay.
Got a couple of people.
Novi.
I'll broadcast a message to everybody as well about the mistakes, so they've got them.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if Novi has got some connection problems, maybe. Okay. Right. I'm going to go to room 1 then.
Okay.
Oh, and Yenny. Yenny, can you hear me? They've both been assigned to rooms, so it must be connection problems, I think.
I guess we could move them later if they're still there.
Can you hear us? Yenny? Novi?
Yeah, you might be right. It might be a connection problem. Okay.
Okay, right. Let's go. Hello, are you okay in here? Nurul? Jilang? Laila Sari? Can you hear me? Ah, hello.
Yeah, hello. I can hear
Ah,
you.
you can hear me now. Okay, good. I was
Okay.
worried what was happening. And Nurul, can you hear us?
I think
No.
everyone in here it's so silence.
Yeah. Why is everybody so quiet? Do you have a photo of the sentences to look at?
I have no idea because I'm late to join the meeting.
Ah,
I'm so
okay.
sorry.
Okay, no problem. I'm going to put the task into the chat box for you. Laila
Okay.
Sari, are you okay? Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so here you should be able to see. So there are 4 different sentences. Yeah, so after graduating junior high school, etc. Likewise in Indonesia and as like. So you have to work together. So you need to discuss really to correct the language mistakes, to correct the grammar as we did before in the example. And then think about one question that you have about Unit 2. So this was the task we asked you to think about in WhatsApp as well. So you should have some ideas for this. Is that okay? Yeah? I'm going to give you a moment to think about it and I'll leave and then I'll come back and check that you're okay. All right?
Yeah.
Okay. Laila Sari, your microphone is on mute. We cannot hear you.
Yeah, I think I found the mistake maybe on the last sentences. The last sentence is about there are 4 stages comprise. It shouldn't be comprises, but it should be comprise, I think.
Actually dibuang.
So
Because
one,
it's different, yeah, between UK and Indonesia. Okay, yeah.
Number 2. Not?
No.
No?
Yeah, unlike
Yeah.
UK. Yeah,
So
yeah, I agree.
we erase also. Jadi
Oh,
unlike in UK,
Like,
unlike in
Indonesia start
UK.
at age 6 to
Yeah,
start
like in UK.
the primary school and end at
Indonesia
8.
starts. Yeah,
Unlike
yeah, yeah.
in UK,
Starts
Indonesia
Indonesia start
start
it
at
at
start
6.
at age
Okay.
6.
start at
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? Okay. Let's try to number 3. In Indonesia, the children start to study at years of 6, unlike in
Indonesia.
UK, the children start at years of 5.
Would you please repeat the sentence slowly, Miss JD?
I'm sorry, I do not, I cannot say the sentences.
Yeah. Indonesia.
Likewise, UK, Indonesia also starts at age 6 to start the primary school and ends at age 18.
No, the sentences.
Okay. And then number 3, okay. Indonesia, the children start to study at the year of 6, unlike in UK, the children start at the years of 5. I think we can choose, here.
I
Can you see that one? This is. Nah. Thank you, Miss Beth. Okay.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Miss Beth.
Nah, this is, here are the sentences and get up unit after graduating junior high school. Okay, likewise, UK, Indonesia also starts at age 6 to start the primary school. The correction is?
Yeah.
There is a mystery.
Like number 2, likewise, UK, Indonesia.
Yes.
Likewise, UK, Indonesia also starts at age 6 to start the primary school and ends at age 18.
You can write down in the chart, maybe that on, Miss.
Yeah, I think it's
Mr.
correct.
Anin.
Is it correct? It is still correct.
Yeah, we can try it. In Indonesia, the children start to study after level 6, unlike in UK. It's a use unlike. Unlike the children started.
In Indonesia, number 3, I think in Indonesia, the children start studying at year. After start, followed by inform. So far as I know, it's correct.
Okay.
After start.
Hello, Jilang. I don't know what's happened to your room, but I'm going to put you in another group now, okay?
Yeah.
All right. I think maybe the other teachers had some problems with the connection. So I'll put you into a different room. Hello, did you have some problems with your connection?
Yeah, but in here it's raining, so it's really bad connection in here, and I kept going out of the Zoom.
Oh, no problem. I think there was only Jilang was left in here alone, so I moved him to a different room
Yeah,
because of the
alright.
problem. So I'll put you in another room and we'll try, but if you have problems with the connection, then don't worry. You can perhaps watch the recording of the session
Yeah,
later.
all
Might
right.
be easier. All right, but we'll try you in a different room and see.
All right. Thank you,
Okay,
Beth.
you're welcome.
Which one is correct? Senior high school, comma, higher education and universities, or senior high school and higher education or university? I think based on my opinion, it should be senior high school, comma, higher education or universities, correct, ma'am?
Yeah,
I think
I
yes.
think so.
I think yes.
No, never mind. It is just brainstorming.
Okay.
Pre knowledge, I think, yeah, it's
Yeah.
very good for teaching for our students.
Yes.
Hello, Arjust. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, are you okay?
Oh ya, sir.
Good. Everybody is just, they're in groups at the moment, but everybody's coming back here in 30 seconds. So we won't be alone for long. Yeah, 20 seconds. Okay, can you hear me all right?
Saya mendengar. Huh? Yes. You feel clearly?
Okay.
How do you do? Very interesting.
Yeah, everybody's in breakout rooms, but they're coming back to the main room in just a moment. In 10 seconds, there will be a lot more people here. Don't worry. Hello, Dahlia. Hello. Everybody's coming back now. We're not alone anymore, Arjust. Don't worry. All right. So if you could just
Still number two, you know, Beth. We
if
still
you
number
could
two.
turn your microphones off while we're in the main room, that would be great, just so we don't have a lot of feedback and background noise. Thank you so much. That's brilliant.
I suppose I could try and turn everyone's microphone off, but I might turn yours off, Beth, again.
That's okay. I think we're good now.
Okay. Some good ideas I heard in the rooms that I were in. Some of you got a lot of the mistakes. I know some of the sentences are easier than others. I was still discussing number 3. Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have much time in these live sessions. 45 minutes is really short, isn't it? So don't worry if you haven't had time to discuss all of them.
So I'm going to show you the correct answers, then you can see them. And obviously, if you have any questions about the corrections, please put your ideas in the chat box or ask us with your microphone. So these are the correct answers. That's for number 1. So number 1, I think, was kind of straightforward. It was just a preposition, graduating from. You graduate from a place, junior high school or university, etc. So that can change there. Okay, now this one was a little bit harder, number 2. So we've got this word likewise. So I can say, for example, Beth is a teacher, likewise, so am I. So with likewise, or I could say Beth is a teacher, likewise with Beth, I am a teacher. So with likewise, we can say likewise with the UK, or likewise, comma, children in Indonesia also start primary school at the age of 6 and finish at the age of 18. Now we needed to add children there because we need a subject. We could say in Indonesia, children also start. We could swap those around. And obviously start because children is plural. There's more than one child, I hope, going to school. And then a common problem that I've noticed is this use of age. So we can say at the age of 6, or we can say at 6. So start primary school at 6 and finish at 18. So we could say that as well. Okay. Next one. So a few mistakes here. In Indonesia, children start, or children in Indonesia start. Again, we could move in Indonesia around. So we say children, not the children, because we mean all children who live in Indonesia. So children start to study, again, at the age of 6, unlike in the UK, where children start at the age of 5. Okay. And then finally, we've got as or like. So we don't say as like, we say as or like in the UK. Remember, when we're talking about the UK, like the USA and some other countries, we need to add the definite article. There are 4 stages comprising of. Now, here we've got our main verb, which is, are. And then here we've got a relative reduced clause comprising of. It's a little bit complicated, the grammar here, but I think generally that the person who wrote this did really well. So there are 4 stages comprising of, and we've got our colon, and because it's a list, we have semicolons here. So whoever wrote that, it's actually quite a good sentence. They were small things, really. As Beth mentioned before, there was so much good language. I struggled to find mistakes, to be honest, because there was so much good language. Okay. So any comments? Anyone wants to ask any questions about these sentences?
May I?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Sorry. Number 2, for number 2, why we put children there? Why don't just Indonesian? Because we put age there.
Number 2?
Yeah.
Because Indonesia doesn't start school, the children start school. Yeah, so Indonesia also, I suppose you could say that, but I think it's better and clearer to say that the children in Indonesia start. I mean, we could say likewise, Indonesia also, but it's trying to say that the country starts primary school, not the children who start primary school. I think it's clearer to say it this way.
Okay, thank you, Nick.
No problem. Any other questions? I think some of these mistakes were difficult to get. Number 1 was okay, so, but the others were quite tricky. Okay. Beth, shall we look at the next reflection part if there's no more questions? If you do have any questions about these mistakes, you can obviously put them in WhatsApp, but we want you to start to think about correcting your own mistakes and your peers' mistakes.
Okay, thank you. So, as we said, these were some of the common mistakes that we found in your writing. Now I want you to think about this from a personal point of view. So what about you? What do you think are your common language mistakes? So just reflect on this for a few moments. And if you want to, share an idea in the chat box. If you don't want to, that's okay, because it's personal to you. But it's really useful to think about and to reflect on your use of language. What do you do well? It's important to think about positives as well. What do you do well in English? But also, of course, identifying areas to develop. So if you'd like to share, so we have some examples. So perhaps it's your use of the present perfect. Perhaps you forget to use articles. Perhaps you are not sure when to use capital letters. This was something that I noticed. Okay, so people are sharing some ideas and we'll make a note of them here, I think. So yeah, articles. I think this is very common, and in Unit 6, we will be looking at article usage in English, because this is a common area of difficulty.
Very difficult, I think, aren't they, Beth, as well,
Yeah,
for if
absolutely.
English is not your first language.
And especially if you don't have articles in your first language, then this can make it even more difficult to know when and how to use them in English. So lots of articles, prepositions as well. Absolutely. Yeah. Spelling. Okay, good. All right. So using past tense rather than present perfect is another one here.
That was in that's in the latest unit, so
Yeah.
perhaps review that.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Just having a look at, yeah, lots and lots of people have said articles, so that seems to be very, very common. Okay, Desi, plural and singular. Oh, we've got that one. Okay, so I think it's really useful to be aware of your own areas of difficulty, so that you can perhaps go away and research these areas, you can do more practice, and also you can, once you feel more confident yourself, this will help you to be more confident passing on this knowledge to your students as well. And I think, Nick, you're going to talk about some useful websites.
Sorry, yeah, I'll just clear that. So, oops, turn it off. Yeah. So yeah, as Beth said, it's a good idea to be aware of your own mistakes, because then, as teachers, we want to make sure that what we're saying to our learners is clear and doesn't have mistakes in it. So you can get further information. Obviously, there's a lot of information online. So we've got some websites that we're going to share these with you in the WhatsApp group later, I think today actually. So don't worry if you don't make a note of these or anything like that. But we've found websites that talks about common areas for Indonesian speakers. I know not all of you perhaps have Indonesian as their first language, but I guess that may be similar kind of errors that you're making, because obviously your first language does influence a lot of the mistakes that you make in many ways. So we'll share these websites with you, and hopefully you'll be able to then focus on the kind of typical mistakes you make, like articles, perhaps tenses, prepositions, and be aware of these. And then obviously we're hoping that with Unit 2 and other tasks that you're being asked to do in the Google documents, that you're then able to start correcting each other's mistakes and errors, which I think is really important, because as teachers, we have to correct our students' work. And all of you, your level of English is very high, so trying to correct mistakes for someone who's got a very high level of English, I think is a really good task, and it's good practice for you. So please do revisit the Google documents and make comments on each other's work, on the language as well if you notice a mistake. I'm sure no one's going to be upset if somebody corrects their language. Somebody corrected one of my mistakes in a WhatsApp yesterday. I made a mistake. It was a typing mistake, but I was very pleased with that, the teacher who did that. So,
Exactly. And I think it's the same. I think, observing some of the WhatsApp groups, I think you are helping each other a lot, and everybody's very grateful for that. And, you're a very useful resource for each other to help with your development. So yeah, please do continue to do that. Feel free to comment on the language as well as the content of each other's contributions. I think that's very, very helpful. Okay.
So I don't know if you had a chance to write any questions. I know one of the groups I was in that you were still working on the errors. But if you have any questions that you'd like to ask us about the unit, we've got a few minutes to take any questions. You can put them in the chat box, turn your microphone on. Please focus on the unit. We can't answer every question.
So yeah, you can raise your hand if you want to ask your group's question, or type it into the chat box. Wow. No questions.
Just know everything. I think.
Yeah, my question. Can I?
Okay. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. My name is Rin. Yeah. Can I introduce myself?
Please go ahead.
Okay. My name is Rina. I am an English teacher of junior high school in Padang, West Sumatra, Indonesia.
Hi.
My question is how to motivate the student to speak up more, because for me myself, I think the outcome of the lesson of the language is how to speak up. Even though you are good in writing, you are good in listening, but you cannot speak up, that's not good, right? But in Indonesia, the problem is, especially in my town, in Padang, we teach writing more than speaking. We teach them how to answer the question writingly, not spokenly. And when we don't follow that, our student is not going to pass the collection test of the town. I mean, in Padang, we have a collection. Hello, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Hi, we hear you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we
So,
hear you.
yeah, my problem is how to motivate my student to speak up more than writing. But the problem is the writing is the goal of the test of the English lesson in my town. If I don't follow the writing test, I'm not going to follow the procedure of the lesson of the language in my town. So that's the polemic, right? The goal is to study English is to speak up, but the test is the writing. So how can we overcome this problem? That's my problem in my town. I don't know another town in Indonesia.
Yeah, and I'm sure many people can probably relate to the same problem, not only in Indonesia, but all over the world. Perhaps this is a problem that teachers face. Nick, do you have any suggestions?
Yeah.
I have a few, but if you want to go first.
I think that's a problem, isn't it, of the expectations of the school and the system, and perhaps what the students actually want or need. You know, because you're saying that your town or your region wants them to pass a writing exam, so obviously that you're focusing on that, but obviously speaking is really important as well. I try and include both, because obviously, you know, at the end of the day, your students need to pass this exam. It's important. If it's writing, that's what it is. You know, at the moment, perhaps you can't change that as it is, but I would include speaking in the classes as well. Find out what the students are interested in, what they like. You know, they might want to talk about computer games or travel or music. I don't know what the students are in. Try to have speaking lessons based around what their interests are, rather than what you think they are or what you think the state is. Obviously, do focus on the exam that the students will need, because that's part of the education system, but try to find out what they're interested in and set up speaking tasks, maybe role plays or project work where they do posters and talk about that, fun things that are based on what they want to talk about. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, okay. And I think, as we probably all know as experienced teachers, motivation is key, isn't it? So I think that's a really, really good point. So try and find out what they're interested in, and that will help, and that will encourage them. Maybe encouraging them to speak and to use the language outside of the classroom as much as possible as well. So perhaps some extracurricular activities, you know, a book club or a film club or something where they talk about films that they've watched or books that they've read again, that they're interested in.
Very
might help.
Yeah. This leads on, actually, Beth. Someone's asked in the chat box about their own speaking practice. Where was that now? Sri, what should I do to improve my speaking skill? Yeah, I guess if you're in a small town in Indonesia, you don't have anyone to practice speaking with. I mean, you could set up a speaking group with other Indonesians, other people. You know, they don't have to be native English speakers. Most people who speak English aren't native English speakers. So you could set up a chat group with people in your school, with other teachers that you've met on this course, and you could have chat, you know, WhatsApp groups where you do chatting, or you could do little sessions. You speak together, just half an hour, talking about your day, what you've been up to. There are other things you can do online. I'm not sure of the websites, but there are places like italki and that, where you can learn different languages and teach languages and things like that. Where you can practice speaking. I mean, you might have to pay. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know these websites in much detail, but there are places online where you can practice. But I would practice with the people that, you know, in your country. It's a vast country, and you know, you don't all share the first language.
Exactly. And the people that you've met on this course as well, this is one thing that we hope will happen beyond this course that you're doing with us, with TEFLIN, with the British Council. You know, keep these WhatsApp groups going. Use them as an opportunity to share best practice, to practice your speaking. You know, you can voice record yourself, as you know, share this. It doesn't just have to be written, and that's a great way to practice your speaking with each other as well. Absolutely.
Okay, that's why I joined this course, and thank you very much for the comment. And I think maybe next I'm going to have extra class in another time, and I can motivate them to speak up or talking about everything and sing a song together. But the writing task, that the goal of the city, still I teach in the common class, but I'm going to have an extra class. And after that, I'm invite the student who wants to practice and gathering with my extra class that speak up, that motivate them speak up. Thank you very much for
exactly.
comment.
You're welcome. I think there's some more questions about reading, and particularly with very young children, kindergarten age.
Yeah, we're going to cover reading quite a bit in, I think it's Unit 5. We talk about extensive reading and how to motivate all sorts of learners into reading, getting learners interested. So in Unit 5, we give quite a bit of advice about extensive reading and reading in free time. You know, I think it's a really good idea, reading and listening as much as possible in English, listening and reading to things that you're interested in. You know, at the moment I'm trying to learn German, and I'm reading basic books in German, and I'm finding I'm remembering a lot of the language quite easily and quite quickly. So I would recommend, you know, getting your students to read as much as possible, but getting them to choose what they want to read. And there are so many resources online with YouTube and texts that you can use that are graded for your learners. So you're not giving them really complicated text that, you know, native English speakers don't understand either. You want to select things that are correct level for your learners.
Exactly. And I think in the classroom, again, it's maybe about trying to, if possible, if you have this option, trying to select texts that will be interesting to the young learners, that they'll be motivated by, and having clear tasks as well, I think, so that there's a real purpose for them reading. They're trying to achieve something as they're reading, you know, which we do when we read ourselves in everyday life. We tend to have a purpose for reading, and this influences the way in which we read. Okay.
Questions about school, I don't think we can answer all of them.
Yeah, I've put some links in the chat box to useful websites where you can find out more information about the education system in the UK. I think this is quite interesting, and as you've been doing, to compare this with the education system in Indonesia as well. So feel free to take a look at those extra links.
I think we'll probably share them again in WhatsApp later as well if you've missed them.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Can I ask a little questions?
Yep.
I want to ask both of you. Maybe you can answer my questions. Which one we can emphasize teaching vocabulary or grammar to the junior high school? Because I think when we teach grammar to the junior high school, they will think that English is very complicated. So which one we should emphasize, the vocabulary first or the grammar? Thank you.
Thank you, Muddy.
Yeah,
Nick,
thanks.
you go.
I think once a student has the basics of grammar, so they understand, you know, maybe basic past, future, things like that, I'd focus on vocabulary. I think vocabulary is a key to reading, to listening. I mean, don't forget grammar. I think grammar is really important. And obviously, if you have a big vocabulary and you can't use grammar, it's going to be difficult. But I think if you have no grammar and just vocabulary, you're more likely to be understood than if you have grammar and no vocabulary. So I think basics of grammar and as much vocabulary as possible, but keep doing grammar, because I think the problem is a lot of syllabus and courses are based just on grammar. And as you say, students get bored. They think they just need to learn all these structures, all these tenses, but they don't have any vocabulary. So they might be able to form the present perfect correctly, but they only have one or two words, so they can't communicate. So I'd focus on vocabulary and phrases, chunks of language, not words on their own. So how language works in phrases and chunks. You might want to look at the lexical approach. Is it by Lewis?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think I agree. And for both, as we have been talking about in all of the units as well, I think context is key. You know, if students are going to be able to understand the language, both grammar and vocabulary, it really, really needs to be contextualized rather than just isolated. All right, we are over time. So I think we need to, just finish with the final reflection task. This is going to be the last WhatsApp task for this week. So we will invite you to share your sentences. So just 3 sentences like this in your WhatsApp group. So thinking about Unit 2, as I said before, don't worry if you haven't finished this yet. You have some more time, maybe tomorrow, this evening, if you want to finish Unit 2. But then think about it and just write 3 sentences to share with your WhatsApp group. So I've learnt something, I liked or I didn't like something, and then 1 idea. So I'm going to use this idea in my teaching. Okay, so we will share this on WhatsApp so that you remember, or if you want to take a photograph, a screenshot of this now, that's fine. But yeah, we'd just like you to reflect on the content a little bit.
As you've said, do try and respond to each other. I know you are doing this, responding to each other's ideas, and if you notice any language problems, mistakes, you can I'm sure your colleagues will be happy for you to correct them.
Very happy. Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you for your questions, for your contributions. It's been lovely to see you again. Oh, there we go. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, Beth.
Thanks to everybody. Great.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, Nick. Bye, Beth. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Nick.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Miss.
Bye, everyone.
See you next week.
Yep, see you next
look forward
week.
to it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a lovely day.
Bye-bye, Beth, Nick.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.